Well, let's just record it then. So we're good to go? Okay, so we're calling the meeting to order at 4:33. Welcome, everybody. First of all, I'd like to introduce Shaniqua Lewis, right?
Yes.
As the new deputy city clerk to. And she's here because Melody is currently in a training seminar. Did you meet everyone so far?
As they were coming in, but not really.
Hi, I'm Bruce.
Hi, Bruce.
I'm Sherry.
Sherry,
Rick.
Great.
Jen.
Johnny. I know Zach. Hi.
Vince Monticello.
Hi.
Mike.
Meryl?
Richard.
Hi, Richard.
Okay, great.
Dance on that part. Two-step.
All right, so do we have any amendments or additions or changes to the agenda? Rick?
I'd like to add a brief question for the group about our relationship to the Community Justice Center. Advisory Board.
Okay. Any objections, folks? Okay, we're gonna put that under new business, so it'll be item 6. Any other amendments to the agenda? Okay, great. We don't have minutes from the last meeting, so we can pass on that. Public comment. Hi, Zach.
Hi. I'm Zach Wynn, so I live here in the city and I've been keeping pretty close tabs to reimagining public safety process as it began. The website. It's 2 years. And different questions about the state of leasing in Ithaca. There was already a dire staffing and recruiting situation for us. And that situation combined with acting chief Jolie stepping down, suing the city, and I can't help but think that's gonna only worsen the PR. The has recruiting and the reputation nationally. There's also the issue the ethics board made its conclusions. The problem is that the city essentially they did their own separate investigation, refused to cooperate with the county one, and instead of it kind of bringing everyone together and getting everyone on the same page, and there are just further accusations of discriminatory behavior on the part of the board and conflicts of interest and so on. And it just only seemingly got worse. I'd also like to know if the board is aware of the city's proposed policy on homeless tenants, specifically the 40-acre. Wondering if the department has an opinion on that yet, and if they think that's a good idea. Back to my first question, I want to know, will IPD continue to be able to function, meaning law enforcement in this community going forward?
Well, as you know, this is not an opportunity for dialogue.
No, I understand that.
Okay.
But I'm just putting that out here. I have to run back to. There's also the issue of the gun involvement elimination grant. I don't know if you guys have been following this. The reason why it's in jeopardy right now is because the city has declined to participate, and the information I heard from Person McGonigal is that the department doesn't have sufficient staffing to meet the needs of that program, and now the sheriff and the DA are working something in. So I was wondering, if that is indeed the reason, would it not be fair to say that reimagining public safety has so impacted staffing that now that there is a $400,000 grant to combat environment that's being turned down? Would that be accurate? And if that is true, I mean, there's a meaningful attempt, on the state and the county and everyone except for the city here to address the gun. There's just another incident last night. Somebody rolled into a assisted living facility or one of those where they help people with special needs, and if people aren't safe in those places. At a time, but yes,
Thank you for that. We don't have anybody out in the stratosphere, right? Nobody connected that way. Good. Report, hi, George.
I'm sorry.
Did you meet Shaniqua already?
Yes.
Great. Report from Common Council, sir. Are you ready, or do you want me to go by you and come back?
Why don't you go back and go?
Okay. Vince?
Okay, well. I know everybody's read the Ithaca Voice and all that, and for the respect of everybody's time. They have here today that I really can't answer those questions on where things stand with me or where the chief's office stands at this point. So I hope to have a conversation soon with the mayor, and then maybe have a better idea what direction we're heading to.
Sure.
Anything else, regarding that, I've stated a lot, in the last comment or community board meeting on the state of the department, and I would just refer any questions that may come up as to reference that meeting. And, my comments back then. I do want to focus on some other things, if we can move forward here. We do have two officers, newly hired officers in two different academies, one in Corning, one in Broome. And, I also want to acknowledge the great work that was done by our investigators, our police officers, the sheriff, state police, the DA's office on the Allen Godfrey homicide, where Willie Marshall was sentenced to 20 years. That was a very good example of teamwork, which is something I mentioned before that we're going to have to do here in Tompkins County. We have been doing, particularly when it comes to addressing violent crime. So that was a good, I think, excellent work by everybody involved. Last night, we had an officer that responded to a call where somebody was bleeding profusely from his arm with an artery injury, and a tourniquet was applied by Officer Shazer. He's fairly new. He was hired last year and just recently was released to from field training, but no doubt saved that individual's life by applying a tourniquet to the individual. The individual was transported to trauma center, and as of last night, went into surgery and is in stable condition. So I'll pass this around to the board. This is also going into the officer's personnel file,
Super.
and then the clerk can keep a copy of this as well.
Well, we also send them on to Common Council.
Okay.
Did you catch that? Gotcha.
Other than that, there's been some meetings with the Community Justice Center regarding officer wellness, and I've been to a few of those meetings, and I'm just catching up on some of what they discussed back in December. And so we'll continue with that. In general terms, yeah, we do have some staffing issues, and I'm gonna try to look at this in a positive way where this will be a good challenge for the new chief when that person is hired to rebuild the department. And that's how I'm looking at it from this perspective. That's all I have.
Thank you, Vince.
Thank you.
It's a question or actually a question. I'd love to have a updated list of the officers.
Sure.
Should I email you to
Yeah, Kim, she just updated that actually yesterday.
Kim,
Kim Burke.
she's the chief secretary?
Yeah, correct. And I've been to 3 different meetings today, or this is my 3rd one, and I was actually intending on grabbing a roster, and I didn't have time to do that. Traffic was heavy getting from the Cornell area just down to the station because Aurora Street is shut off and traffic is at a crawl. So I walked over here from the station. I didn't have a chance to get over to the PD to
I'll email.
grab that roster.
I'll
We can
email
get
you.
it, we can get it,
She
yeah.
doesn't know me, so.
Yeah, we can get
No,
it.
we'll have Shaniqua and our Melody contact for a new updated list, and then it'll be distributed to all of us.
Yeah, it was just updated yesterday.
Yeah, we'll have that taken care of. Okay. Anything else for Ben?
That last point about the whole rebuilding thing, would you mind reiterating that one more time? As far as like what the new chief is gonna be rebuilding?
The department. We have 15 vacancies. And when you look at the reimagining process with, civilian support staff or our unarmed responders, I look at that as a rebuilding process. Where this is in my career, and I don't want to rehash last month, so I want to be very brief on this. We're down 15. And it's a challenge to hire those individuals. So I look at this, that's the most vacancies we've had in my career. And so I look at it as a rebuilding process. And I'll leave it at that.
So basically the point is like you're just trying to set up or help the next person be prepared.
Correct.
That's what you're trying to make.
The new person will
Restructure.
restructure, it's a rebuilding process, that's how I'm looking at it, we gotta move forward, okay? That's how I look at it, and part of moving forward is rebuilding. And like I said last month, it's just gonna be a team effort, it has to be a team effort from everybody involved.
I concur. Thanks, Spence. Okay, George, you ready?
Yep. Hi, everybody. So as you know, Common Council did approve the report from the reimagining subcommittee last month. The final wording is established. There was a couple of tweaks after the meeting. But that's on the city website. The challenge, in my opinion, will be to get things moving in as rapidly as possible. I know that a number of officers have asked me when the unarmed responders are going to be hired, because we're so short-staffed that IPD needs help as soon as possible. So we have to hire those people, train those people. We have to hire a city manager and an assistant city manager to get all these things working in sync. These are big challenges. I just want to say that I want to thank Vince Monticello, because with the changes at the top, with acting chief Jolie going on leave, Vince has stepped up. Vince is here. Vince does his job, and the Community Justice Center, Mona Smiley is encouraged working with Vince, and I just want to thank you, Vince, because we'd be in deep doo-doo if you were here. Deeper. You're a good man, and you're 40-some years serving the city really shows. So thank you.
Thank you.
That's all I got.
Any questions? No, moving forward, report from staff. I guess you don't have a report for us?
For me?
Yeah, you're the staff.
No, I don't have a report. No report from me.
Okay, the only thing that we did have is we need to notate that we have finally completed the confidentiality requirements for 2023. Thank you all for cooperation on that. Old business. There are two things on here, and they're both dated because we passed on them the last time, I think. One is the discussion on the Zoom meeting that we had with the consultant for the chief's search. I don't remember who attended. Some people were not able to attend.
I didn't make that in, I wasn't able to.
And Michael? You
Yes,
didn't attend?
I did, and I couldn't speak. because-
Oh, that's right, that's right. So I guess I'll start with summary and then people can jump in as to what they think, happened with that. The gentleman seemed to be a competent guy. He's from California. He certainly understands that he's been asked to do a national search and understands that the person or, he or she is required to be a police person from the state of New York or have credentialing from the state of New York. He also indicated to us that the salary was way too low. And it's my understanding that currently there's an agenda item coming up where the salary is gonna get bumped to 150 with a $50,000 sign-on bonus, and that's pending before Common Council's Fund Committee. He asked us what kinds of things we were interested in seeing and achieve. And I said to him, we discussed, but I said to him after the meeting, I sent to him the matrix that was used during the prior search or number of searches that we've all been involved with over the last number of years. So the grid and the criterion that was used and how it was scored. We talked about the state of affairs, which I think, and somebody can correct me and if I didn't see it correctly, he was kind of shocked at some of the things that we had to say about the devastation that's going on and the disgruntled employees across all spectrums of the city. And I'll stop now. Somebody else want to jump in and say what they recall?
It really just seemed like he was gathering thoughts, gathering information. It sounded like he was just brainstorming, getting different cohorts' minds, and it really didn't sound like, at least to me. It was just, tell us what you think, well, we're there and we'll see where it goes. I didn't get any particular impression of like, what is anticipated follow-up? Is there anything gonna be substantial that comes from this? But I appreciate you taking the time to hear my thought. I appreciated how he did it, in the sense that it probably could have been more helpful if this is how they started this type of thing, but to start.
Mhm.
It also seemed like he had a good track record with prior filling positions for other jurisdictions, at least close by, if memory serves me, there was Syracuse and Albany. At least close by, but there have been dozens and dozens and dozens of other placements that were successful and that panned out really well. So hopefully a good track record gives us some promise, given that it seems like he has a lot of connections to be able to tap and a lot of contacts that might be good fits, and it seemed like there's good potential there to harness existing contacts, but also have the right mindset of knowing what the right fit for our community would be too.
Anything further?
I think he captured that he was confident, but also realistic, in this process, that it will be a challenge to, get someone who may to ethical.
Hey. All right, we done with that one? Okay, now we have a discussion on persons that attended the community healing event from March 21st. And as I recall, it was Bruce, Rick, and Shirley. Somebody want to start? I'll start. There was, I would suggest that there were a lot of people who were professionally related to the topic, not necessarily community people, you know, just folks off the street or whatever you want to call them. So there were social workers or people from the county, the DA was there were town council persons there. You know, city folks were there, so there was a representation of the community organizations. There was a severe underrepresentation of police. There were only 2 officers there, and a recently retired officer was there. This gentleman whose name completely escapes me because I did not look at my material before I sat down here, was an interesting gentleman who really, for me, he pulled back everything so that you weren't pointing fingers all over the place and you weren't blaming, you pull it back, and it's up to you. You are the one who has to work on your bias or your thoughts or your behaviors. It's all about how you deal with what's going on around you and having an understanding about things that are happening to other folks by listening to them rather than just shutting your mind off. He went through some exercises of meditation. What else did he do? I like the fact that you could speak directly, call a question or answer some of the questions that he brought up for us to discuss. Or you could use your equipment, your cell phone or whatever, and you could send a message to the equipment that he had set up. So somebody who didn't feel like they wanted to say, well, I think this, they could just send it and it would appear on the screen for us to all, and then we ran through those and discussed those. I think I thought it had value, for me. I don't know if it had value for anyone else, because I didn't ask them, because I ran out of there, I had things to do. But did you gentlemen think that it had value?
I did. I think it was well structured. Like you said, it was really open and was able to avoid, blaming it for agendas, like someone's personal agenda or vision. Just, it didn't gather steam to make it an affront. It was really open, and I think it was of value. I'd go to a follow-up or something else like that.
George, you were there too, right? I'm sorry, do you have thoughts on it or no?
I think it was a good start. I thought there was a couple people who talked way too much.
It wasn't me.
But I thought that was unfortunate. And I also thought it was unfortunate that 2 young Black community members left after 5 minutes. And those are the people we really want to hear from. But this guy, I think knows what he's doing, and I think Mona Lita is just moving ahead and without she's open to police involvement, she wants police involvement, and she wants community involvement, and I think that's good.
Yeah. The idea, I know many people left with the idea that we're gonna have to continue these conversations for a long time and have much more the idea that people don't sit down and talk to one another about what they feel. Comfortable environment. Where everyone's comfortable with being able to express themselves. And it struck me that that's very true. That we do have to have opportunities to talk to one another.
Okay, I'm gonna dovetail onto that because as you may or may not recall, I started to watch the public safety meetings for the county. And something happened, the other day, last week, I think it was, where, an individual from, URO, United Reentry
Yeah, that's it.
Opportunity.
Yeah, urban reentry, URO is something, it's not United, it's renewal, you're right.
I think it's United, but anyway, all that
Oh, I see.
aside. He presented, a book and indicated that they are having like a community read. For community healing and the facilitation, if I got it correctly, I tried to reach this gentleman, but no one answered the phone at that organization. So they have set up some sort of a Zoom, like book club, if you will, or whatever they call those things. And the name of the book is My Grandmother's Hand. And it's related to trauma and how trauma goes through generations. And it gives you an understanding or develops you to understand trauma and how that affects person's behaviors or, you know, a language that they use, etc. There is going to be, and I couldn't get the details because he didn't give them in the meeting, on Saturday from 12 to 2 at the library in the, I think it's the board warning room.
Yeah.
There's going to be, you're gonna have books and I don't know what else, because I tried to get a hold of the gentleman, but I couldn't get a hold of him. I went online and I bought the book used. It's not come yet. But it was only $15. So I think it would be good for us if we have the time for each of us to try to do that. And then we could, you know, let the county and the city know that, you know, we're trying to be involved with the community healing aspect of reimagining public safety.
And that's Saturday from 12 to 2 at the library.
That's my
That-
understanding.
okay. Their name, it's the ultimate reentry.
Okay.
Yeah, I remember hearing it. It might have been Tali that spoke.
It was a gentleman.
Yeah. I'll have to check into that. But that sounds like a good idea. Thank you, Shirley. I've heard of that book.
I can send a link to what is on their website regarding this for all of you to take a look at after we meet today.
Okay,
Yeah, that would be great.
that would be good.
You
Thank
think
you.
we might be interested?
Mhm.
I would.
Good.
I would.
Okay, so that's the old business and we're on to new business. We're doing really fantastic because the two of you have to leave at 5:30. Rick, you're up.
Well, that was a good segue because the Community Justice Center had put out, it's now closed, an advertisement for members for their advisory board. And my question here is, do we want to reach out to them and see if they would accept somebody not as a voting member, but as what they call the board will also include associate non-voting members as contributors. So my question is, should our board send somebody as a non-voting contributor so that we have for communications purposes? Does anyone have any thoughts on that, or do we? I think that's a good idea.
Certainly worth exploring if there's interest on their part to have us included. I think that would be great.
But yeah, I don't know how they're structured. I mean, I did read the material that they have on the county's website. I can certainly contact on our behalf, I can contact Malia and ask her about not as an individual person, but as a representative from the community police board being involved in some manner and see what response I get if you're interested in that. And if somebody's willing to donate or, use their time to do that. I mean, I don't know what the time commitment would be, but I certainly could, because it's brand new, I can't imagine somebody really does know exactly what kind of a time commitment. it would
They're
be.
supposed to meet once a month. And then maybe, a few other various activities, so I'll read you guys what it said. Board will also include associate non-voting members as contributors who provide critical insight and are actively engaged in discussions and activities of the board. Associate members may be directly impacted or indirectly impacted by the outcomes of the reimagining safety plans. Associate non-voting members shall be identified based on the content expertise and ability to contribute to the implementation of the reimagining public safety plans. Criteria would include mental health, youth services, legal, common council, Tompkins County legislature. I only took this one page off, so we kind of fit in that. And my thought was, it's too late to join as a voting member, but I don't know that we want to go in and start voting on things. I just thought it'd be a good idea to have somebody there that if there were questions about the community police board, or somebody said, well, what about this? Or we have a certain amount of expertise that might be of use to them. And it's the same thing that we were all saying about the healing forum. You want to keep these lines of communication open and just try to keep it open and flowing and going that way is to make things a little bit better.
If are you interested in us doing this?
I think it's a good idea.
There's no, I'm not seeing any bobbleheads here any which way. Thank you.
So if I'm understanding this, you're basically saying
Yeah.
someone from this board will serve to some sort of capacity as an ex-official member of CJC?
No, it's the advisory board for the entire reimagining police in Tompkins County, which encompasses the city,
It's the advisory board for the Community Justice Center,
which is the whole bailiwacks.
the whole, everything.
And it's at the county level.
Yeah,
Yeah.
From my understanding, that right now, the people from the city who are involved, not as board members, but who are involved, are Melody and Deb Mullen.
so it's the chief of staff. And Melody as what, our city employee of administration or as our staff support for,
I don't think it's staff support, I think it's,
no, I mean representing staff support for the community police board, or you're not sure? I can ask.
Sorry, go ahead, George.
I was just suggesting that either one of them might be able to find out whether that somebody from this board would be welcome in that capacity that you're talking about.
That would probably be protocol. That would probably be a better way to go about it. Is for my first stop would be with the chief of staff.
I was thinking, I know you said you wanted to do this, which is fine with me, but I was. Only to Smiley directly and say. Our board is interested, if we are, in joining the advisory, being a associate non-voting member.
Well, I think I don't want to be the cowgirl and, riding out on the range by myself on this.
I could.
We are-
if you want.
We are a city board. And we're appointed by the mayor, so you know, I don't wanna run over somebody.
Okay,
You know, if I can talk to Deb or George can bring it up. And see what the situation is and report back to us and let us know, which either way works. You wanna take it on or no?
If you want me to talk to Molly, I'll do that.
Okay,
Okay.
because then at that point, there's kind of like backing from common council because you are our liaison.
Yeah.
Good. Can we put that on for old business for next month, please? And I think we're finished with the agenda, correct? Yeah. Want to catch that door and shut it? Because we do have an executive session. And you need to shut us down.
So this position would be